Dear students, now let's start with the next part of the valence bond theory. Before starting the structures and bonding in different complexes, first see, this is the spectrochemical series which shows which are the weak ligands and the strong ligands. Here all the ligands, they are arranged in their increasing order of the strength. That means iodide is the weak ligand and CO, carbonyl, it is the strongest ligand. So when we go from iodide onward, the strength of the ligand is increasing. Now, it is not easy to remember the complete spectrochemical series. So I am giving you one trick how to remember which are the weak ligand and which one are the strong ligand. Here you just remember the donor atoms are indicated by bold letters. These are for monodentate ligand with two donor atoms, like thiocyanate. It has two donor atoms, one is sulfur and other is nitrogen. But in this case, as sulfur is written in bold, so it is the donor atom, while here in this case NCS, nitrogen is written in the bold letter, so it is the donor atom. Okay, so here you need to remember one trick, or you need to use one trick to find out which one is the strong and weak ligand. So all halides, that means chloride, bromide, iodides, all these halides, then ligands starting with sulfur, or the ligands in which donor atom is sulfur, and the ligands with oxygen as a donor atom, all these ligands are weak ligands. While the ligands which has either carbon, nitrogen or phosphorus as a donor atom, all these are the strong ligands. So this is the simple trick by which you can find out which one is strong and which one is weak ligand. Now if I will write down, here you can see this example. So can you tell me this is a weak ligand or strong ligand? Here you can see oxygen is the donor atom, so it is a weak ligand. But if you take this example, NO2 minus, in this nitrogen is the donor atom, so it is a strong ligand. Ammonia, again it is a strong ligand because nitrogen is the donor atom. Then cyanide, here carbon is the donor atom, so it is a strong ligand. Here in carbonyl group, carbon is the donor atom, so it is again a strong ligand. While iodide, bromide, these are halides and these are the weak ligand. So when ligands are arranged in according to their strength, that series is known as spectrochemical series. We will need this strong ligand, classification of ligand as a strong or weak, when we discuss the structure of different complexes. Let's go further. Now before starting VBT, as VBT, valence bond theory, is also concerned or related with the calculation of magnetic moment. So here I just want to explain you how magnetic moment is calculated by using the spin only formula. Here this is the spin only formula, mu is equal to square root of n plus 2. Here mu is the magnetic moment and n, it is the number of unpaired electron present in the central metal ion during the formation of complexes. So mu is magnetic moment and n is the number of unpaired electron. Now let's take the example of chromium ion, which can be written as Cr2 plus. Cr2 plus, its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d2, because we have removed 2 electrons, and that's why its electronic configuration become like this. Here chromium, it has 2 electrons in d orbitals which are unpaired. So n, its value, it is 2. Now put this value in this spin only formula for the calculation of magnetic moment, which is mu is equal to n plus 2. So here as n is equal to 2, so it becomes mu is equal to square root of 2 plus 2. So it is square root of 8, and the value it will come 2.83, and the unit for this, it is a Bm, that is a Bohr magneton. So in this way we can calculate magnetic moment for the given complexes. One more thing you need to remember, that if the complex has unpaired electron, then that complex is called as paramagnetic, while if all the electrons are paired, then such complex is considered as a diamagnetic. Here in this example, the central metal ion is chromium Cr2 plus, and it has 2 unpaired electrons. Because of the presence of unpaired electron, the complex of this metal ion, it will becomes paramagnetic. In this table, we can see if the number of unpaired electrons are from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then what will be the value of magnetic moment. Here the formula which is used, it is again a spin only formula, that is mu is equal to square root of n plus 2. When the value of n, it is equal to 1, then when we do the calculation, it becomes square root of 1 plus 2. So it is a square root of 3, and the value it is 1.732. When number of unpaired electrons are 2, then after calculation we get the value of mu, it is equal to 2.83. In the same way, when n is equal to 3, the value it will come 3.87. When 4 unpaired electrons are there, then mu is equal to square root of 4 plus 2, that is square root of 24, and the value is 4.899. And when n is equal to 5, the value it comes 5.92. In the next table, you can see there are number of unpaired electron and their magnetic moment. If number of unpaired electron is 1, then mu it is 1.73, 2, 2.83, for 3 unpaired electron it is 3.88, 4 it is 4.90, and if 5 unpaired electrons are there, then the value it becomes 5.92. So remember one thing, it becomes quite easy if you look the values of mu and unpaired electron carefully. They are related to each other. 1, then the values of mu, it starts with 1. 2, it starts with 2. For 3 unpaired electron, the value is 3 point something. 4, it is 4 point something, and for 5, it is 5.92. So if the question is asked, the given complex whose magnetic moment is 3.88, how many unpaired electrons are present? So as this value, it starts with 3, so how many unpaired electrons are there? 3. If the value is if the value of magnetic moment, it is 4.90, as it is starting with 4, so the number of unpaired electrons are 4. For 5.92, the number of unpaired electrons are 5. So in this way, you can calculate magnetic moment from the given unpaired electron, and from unpaired electron you can calculate the magnetic moment also. Now, before starting valence bond theory, some points we need to remember that valence bond theory, it deals with some important points such as electronic structure of central metal ion, that means electronic configuration of central metal ion, then hybridization of central metal ion, whether it is sp3, dsp2 or d2sp3, whatever hybridization is there, then shape of the complex. In last video, we saw that hybridization, it decides the shape or the geometry of the complex. If sp3 hybridization is there, then the shape is tetrahedral. In dsp2 hybridization, the shape is square planar. So, VBT also deals with the shape of complexes. Then it deals with the bonding representation, and finally, depending upon the number of unpaired electrons, that is n, the magnetic property of the complexes can be decided whether they are paramagnetic or diamagnetic. If unpaired electrons are there, then it is paramagnetic, and if all the electrons are paired, then it is diamagnetic. So, in next video, one more point I want to add, that for coordination number 4, the complexes which has coordination number 4, two geometries are possible. One is tetrahedral and another is square planar. So, some points you need to remember, that in 3D series metals like chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, they can form tetrahedral as well as square planar complexes depending upon the nature of ligand, whether it is a strong ligand or weak ligand. While higher D block metals which are present in 4D, 5D series like platinum, palladium, rhodium, they always form only square planar complexes irrespective of nature of ligand. So, 3D series metals, they can form square planar as well as tetrahedral complexes depending upon nature of ligand, while higher D block metals like platinum, palladium, they form only square planar complexes. So, some basic points we already discussed. Now, let's begin with the actual examples and how we can find out the geometry of the complexes. So, that we will discuss in next video.